different in everything. Like, all these people, and one of the, like, I might say, like, red flag from a conversation I had yesterday was it all concluded to, like, selfishness. And that's what society teaches us that relationships is all about. Like, me, you're gratifying me. This is all about me.
Yeah.
Like, how can you make me feel better? How can you cater to me in such a way that will, like, make my world such a better place? And that's what a lot of these different dating advices is kind of manipulative in a way, to teach people how to do that. And they have that mindset when what is love? Like, we have 1 Corinthians 13 that tells us that love is patient.
Yeah.
Love is kind.
It suffers.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's long suffering.
Sacrifice.
I'm speaking as a man, and you just don't want to feel like you're wasting their time and your time is being wasted. The gentleman, I believe I heard the word intentionality. I think about, like, I just think about some certain stories in the Bible, like Ruth and Boaz. When you think about, like, Boaz and how he communicated with Ruth, he was very intentional. He blessed her. He gave her an abundance and sent her on her way with barley, if I'm not mistaken, for her family. He was just very intentional about, like, hey, I'm feeling you. In biblical
She
terms.
also did sleep at his feet, so would that work?
Well, yeah, but that was after. But that was after he blessed her.
He was also 40 years older than her.
Yeah.
Same.
Which was common.
It was
Yeah,
common.
it was common back
So
then.
are we going to nursing homes now?
But I just
No.
Steffi.
No.
I personally think that there should be communication. If there should be communication about the fact that y'all are feeling each other. I've talked to people about this, and there's a lot of people that say no. I've had a lot of people tell me, no, just play it out, be friends. But I feel like there's also a beauty and a power of being like, hey, I just want you to know you're dope. I'm feeling you. I'm not pushing. I'm not pressuring. But I do want you to know that, like, I am intrigued by you. And I would like to, in my case, it's almost like, yes, I'm being your friend, but then we've also discussed how I feel about friendship, because I'm being upfront with you saying our friendship, the friendship that I'm going to give to you, the trajectory of that is that I will ask you for courtship in our friendship. And if that freaks you out, or if that's like, oh, no, then at that moment it's like, hey, I appreciate your honesty. My honesty is that maybe you might feel that he's moving too fast or something, because he literally is saying, the friendship that I'm going to be giving you has a trajectory of courtship. And so those are very like whoa terms. Like, okay, wow, like he's been like, how do you feel? How do you guys feel? How do you ladies feel about that? Like, if a man said that to you, as in, like, I'm not saying that I'm going to ask you for courtship in a month. I'm not saying in a year. But, like, I'm feeling you. Like, I think you're great.
That is super attractive in a man.
Yeah.
For them to be very clear with their intentions.
Yeah.
That is so amazing. And even if I don't have feelings for that guy, I'm going to be like, dang, like, really? Do I really don't have feelings?
Do I really have feelings for you? Let me think about
Wait a minute.
Hold on.
God, like,
Wait. Let me think about it.
am I throwing red flags out there? Is it a red flag, or is it the Holy Spirit telling me that he's not my guy? Because
none of these things matter. It only matters when you bring the term high value and high woman. Because, and that's when you would look at I would look at biblical scripture to guide me how to date and what I should look for. And when,
what is the biblical scripture and how to date?
Well, there's example, like when they was going to choose a wife for Isaac, that the person that we're going to use, I don't remember her name right now, maybe Elizabeth, maybe, or something.
It was Rebecca, I believe.
Rebecca, something like that. Then he came.
Close.
Was it Rebecca?
It was
I
Rebecca.
think that's for Jacob. or it was one
Yeah,
of those.
because it was.
Yeah.
Which one are you talking about? When they
That
went to
Abraham's
the
son,
post?
Isaac. Yeah, they went to the
Yeah,
post and he gave
yeah.
her like a bracelet.
Exactly,
You know,
yeah,
so
yeah.
that, so and then you can see that every single man that God chose in the Bible were men that were capable and wealthy.
Yeah.
So that they
Think
were
about
high,
Boaz.
and they were wealthy men. So because they were high value men, you only expect high value women.
So wealth means high value.
Not necessarily, but. So let's put it
So,
in our terms.
let's-
So let me
I think-
translate.
Yeah,
Let me
I got
translate it
something
from
to
the
say this.
scripture
I
to
think
now.
wisdom-
Is the ability
wisdom-
is the ability to be able to provide and take care of you. Because
Yeah.
you say, "Oh, money doesn't matter," but do you really want to walk to
So-
work every day and take the bus? No, you want to drive a car.
I was
Do you
gonna-
want
I
your
was
gonna
children-
ask a question.
That
will-
money
you
doesn't
want your
matter.
children?
All right.
You want your
I
children
will.
with dirty diapers, or you want them with clean, fresh clothes?
Yeah.
Do
I
you
would-
want to be forced to work, or do you want work to be a benefit that you want to do because you're creative and you want to paint? Or I have to paint, I gotta wake up at 6 o'clock because my husband can't provide enough for me. So within and that's why I kind of wanted to start with biology, because biology, and it's in the Bible, it kind of explains it the way that God wrote the laws and everything. But getting back to it, like, women are attracted to guys that can provide. So you're gonna have a regular relationship, but automatically, and this goes the same for guys, even though they're interested in different things, but automatically you're gonna be with a regular guy that can probably provide for you, but you're gonna be attracted to him. And it could be even a man of God that can really provide for you and provide a college for your children and all of that. So it does play an important part. But why I wanted to relate it to biology, because in biology, when you do the studies, like, the world is constructed, God constructed the world in hierarchies. And you can see that in chickens, pecking orders. You can see it in dolphins. You can see it in lobsters. You can see it in everything. There's a hierarchy. And the ones who are on top are the ones that dominate. So what you can see, like in the study of a chimpanzee, if he's really strong, he's gonna dominate. But as soon as he gets sick, the other chimpanzees will tear him apart. So it's not only about power. You gotta have compassion. You gotta know how to share.
Yeah.
So all those traits play in. So in the world that God constructed, there's hierarchies. So if you could dominate at each hierarchy, your success rate is gonna be high. So, and that doesn't mean that you're going to be lonely all your life. It just means that if you're in the bottom, you can only mate with the people that are in the bottom. You can't mate with people who are in the top.
Because I was going to ask y'all ladies a question, you know, and I'm just going to ask it. So, if you were given a choice, not told, but lovingly and compassionately shared with, that, like, hey, I make enough money that you don't have to work. I'm not telling you that I'm not telling you either way, but I'm sharing with you, like, say that maybe this is a conversation is being had before engagement, and the conversations are getting serious, like way serious. And it's like, as a man, I'm like, hey, like, I just want you to know that you don't have to work. I see that you're working. You're a paralegal. You could be the CEO of a company. You know, whatever. You could be doing a slew of things. But if you were given the choice, because your paycheck would literally just be for savings, it would be to whatever you desire, travel, but like to clock in and clock out, for the sake of that, knowing that your man can provide for you 100%. What are your thoughts on that? And you're not being forced. You're not being forced to quit your job. This is your decision. I'm just sharing with you. This is your absolute possibility.
Yeah. For me specifically, and this is me.
Yeah.
I can't do that.
Okay.
I need to be doing something all the time. I need to be active. I need to be very active. So whether that's it's usually making money with the stuff that I do is like in the different industries. I have multiple streams of income. So that's what I do. You know, so for me specifically, I wouldn't be able to just sit back and relax. It would be super difficult, and I can say this for a fact because I tried it.
Yeah.
During 2020, I felt led by God to quit my job.
Okay.
And I lived off my 401k for almost the whole year. And I couldn't stand it. I couldn't stand it at all. I was like, I don't know why people retire. Now I understand why people die after they do it. Because like,
Wow.
because I couldn't stand it. And my inspiration, my creativity even suffered from it. So I was literally like, just like, I felt like I was, a Maserati parked in a garage. So I'm like, I'm not meant to live like this.
I think what he was trying to say is because it looks like that's you. So like,
So if I
do you need to work to do that, or would you be able to
Yeah,
do
because
that
I have a lot of
without
follow-up questions for you.
wait.
Like,
Okay, wait.
yeah, but I want you to answer first because I have a lot of
I
follow-up
wanna
questions for
answer
you.
If I have
like,
a newborn baby
if
and I
I
need
can-
to provide all that stuff, that's going to be a different kind of thing to keep me busy.
If
I
I
just need to
if I
stay
have
busy doing
to
something
if I
and
have
be
to
active.
answer for every woman, I think that's a beautiful question because at least it's a question. It's not like
Yeah, it's
you
a
have
question.
to
It's a
you
question.
have to be in the house cooking for me and cleaning. When I get home, oh my God, my shoes, you gotta take them
like
off
the
and
Spanish
kiss my
accent
feet,
that
okay?
she added.
Mira, que no me salga con esa. Oh, anyways, okay.
You know, a lot of high value men expect that.
I
Not
know.
the kissing of the feet, but
Yeah.
I
at least they have
know,
a plate.
that's why I said it.
Well,
But
yeah,
anyways, I have my little.
I think I would want to give that to my husband. I would want to be the woman of the house.
But or
you
not
know?
forced.
Go
You,
ahead.
like I said, it was you know, like it's her choice. Like, okay, she can actually not have a job, so she can be what you just said. And but for me personally, I would definitely take that up. Because I would be like, okay, honey, no worries. What do you need me to do? You need
No worries.
just food ready when you get home. Lo que tú quieras. Anything for you. But I am also like a I love como turismo. Like I like we have the villas and the mountains and stuff. So I would definitely lean towards like, okay, if I am quitting my job, like how can we make this grow, you know? Because I already have that family business. So it's like, let's not just I can't just sit around either. But I wouldn't be, if I don't have to clock in a 9 to 5, I'll be waking up, le hago cafecito, okay, go to work, go to sleep.
But like, okay, I got some follow-up questions because both y'all said the same thing.
I thought that I would be like that, and it ended up not being.
No, girl, but with a
Try
man, I
it.
mean, but having
You're
a
gonna-
man,
But it's
having,
because you
have-
but you
because
did
you
it,
had
you
to
didn't
work
have,
to
you didn't
provide for
have,
yourself, right?
but you didn't have a.
No, I was
mean,
fine
like,
with finances.
I don't know, 'cause
I
my
was
man
fine with
just-
finances.
So okay, I
different.
got some follow-up questions, and I just want y'all to know this is coming from a compassionate heart. I'm not trying to, I'm not shooting arrows or anything like that. I'm just very.
When you preface it like
I love
Oh
it.
yeah, because I mean there is
love
gonna
it.
be counter. I'm getting y'all ready because it's countercultural, and,
I love it.
and this could.
we are countercultural. So
Yeah, no,
Yeah, no,
so,
we really are.
Because both y'all said the same. Okay,
Did
both
we say
y'all,
the same thing?
Both y'all shared the same. You said the same phrase. You said, "I don't want to sit around doing nothing." Yeah. So like, what? Can you unpack that? I'm not being sarcastic.
Some women sit around doing nothing.
But like, but okay. I'm trying to.
Yeah, you
But
have
it's
to,
like you. Okay.
okay,
If you're
'cause
not
for
having to
example,
work.
obviously, if I don't have to work, okay, I'm gonna wash everything. I have a son, so obviously,
work.
you know, get him. Like there is work, but that is like, okay, I clean one day, either porque, you know, like then I'm just sitting there. Like I don't know. I need a project. I need.
No, and
You
the
know
thing
what
is,
I
this is
mean?
beautiful because when you break down Proverbs 31, I mean, it talks about a woman that knows real estate. It talks about a
Yeah.
woman that burns the midnight oil. It talks about a woman.
High value women.
That's a high. You know, I'm just be real.
Yeah,
That's a
yeah.
high value woman.
High
I
value
read
woman.
Proverbs 31, and I'm like, this woman knows how to, you know, look at a field, know that it's gonna be, you know, it's gonna make profit. She's gonna buy. She's gonna flip it. So. I see the Proverbs 31 woman, an aspect of many, is she's an entrepreneur, you know? So I do not see, when I guess for me, I'm like, a lot of times people are like, oh yeah, well the woman's just going to stay at home and cook and clean.
I just sneeze.
Oh, no.
Okay, I'm good.
But I think that's very important that we clear that in the table now.
Yeah.
Because it sounds like, I'm going to be intentional. You know? It sounds like you guys don't believe in gender roles. Or in biblical.
Like I was trying to figure out a way to say that because okay, I'm
Really?
going okay, so because when I was I'm fumbling my words because I want to make sure that I don't want to hurt your feelings.
No,
I don't want to hurt
them.
men or women's feelings.
Just break our hearts. It's
No,
okay.
I want to, and I'm not saying, I want to make sure I say this. I'm not saying that you're not being compassionate because you're being straightforward and love, honesty is love.
Yeah, and the only reason I do it is because I see so much of our youth leaving church because they never talk about this. They don't.
Yeah, and you're right.
Yeah.
And it's a good question because I honestly never thought about it.
Yeah.
I had never thought about it, but I like.
I'll share it this way. I'm gonna share it this way, and then if you guys don't mind responding to it, what I feel is happening today is that for whatever reason, homemaking, housekeeping, legacy building with children, I don't understand why that's viewed as evil or not good or not okay, and why women want to be so driven into success to the point where they want to be either. I don't want to say they want to be the breadwinner, but there's definitely some kind of trajectory or path that's like I don't want to use the word triggered, but when you guys said I don't want to be at the house doing nothing, that I want, like, I guess I wanted you guys to unpack that because I do feel like that, not with you two ladies, but in general, that it's almost like
It's a negative.
building a home in every aspect of it. Because again, I want to reiterate this. The Proverbs 31 woman is not just a woman that cleans some dishes, cooks a couple meals. This is a woman that has a notepad full of ideas and concepts of real estate, Airbnb, flip. I mean, that's not just sitting at the house doing nothing. This is a woman that burns the midnight oil. What is she like? The children are asleep. Her husband's asleep. What is she? I get goosebumps. What is she burning the midnight oil for? When the Bible talks about she's waking up early before her servant girls and setting up the day for her. That's a high. You want to talk about high quality woman? You're talking about a woman that has maids, like you know. And I know that
we need maids.
And I know that that's not realistic
that,
for everybody to have a housekeeper.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like I can't sit at home doing nothing. So that's exactly what it is. Like even if I have children, I want to be that homeschool mom that is preparing lessons for them and cultivating them. I want to be cooking amazing meals for my husband and like keeping the house clean while he does his things, of course. Yeah. It's all teamwork, you know? So
now,
I'm not going to be sitting down and doing nothing.
No, but I want you to know that when you said that, that's what I thought.
When I say I don't want to sit down and do nothing, that's what I literally meant. I'm not the kind of woman that will speak like between lines and stuff. Yeah. I'm the one that will like say exactly what I mean.
I heard something different. I
See, it's so funny how we say stuff and we hear different.
Yes.
I thought what you were saying is like, I'm not gonna be submissive. That's what I thought. Like, you're not gonna tell me.
Well, I felt that too. Like I felt that too. I thought something.
I'm gonna work.
Like that's what I caught from that. If you would not have expounded on it, I would have, we would have wrapped up the podcast, everything, and I would have left like, dang, Elizabeth on some other stuff, bro.
I'm like the most submissive woman though.
No,
actually, I'm probably not.
When you did express it, it kind of puts you in that high quality value woman.
When you express it, like you now have you unpacked it. But before you unpacked it, if we would have just moved on to the next topic, I would have just been like, wow.
Yeah.
All right. Well, okay, that's Elizabeth's truth. Like that's her truth. Next topic.
So it hit me in a way that like, well, in my family, most of us were placed in a position where we had to work to make it, provide for ourselves. Like I'm a single mom, so I'm a single mom that worked really hard to be where I am today, where like I went to UCF, graduated debt free, like I look like a bum. It was pretty bad. I don't even look for pictures, but it was so when you said that, I almost felt like, man, I'm so sorry, but like I had no choice. Like I haven't been given that option to just. Right. So so when my man comes around, because now you've declared it and put it out there, and he'd be like, baby, you don't gotta work, I'm gonna be like, yes, don't worry.
You declared it.
I'm receiving
because I mean, I'm gonna be real. A man should step to you that way. I mean, with an option.
Yes,
Is that he's
option.
not
That's true,
telling
that's
you
true,
what
that's
to
true.
do. He's
Yeah.
he's just saying, hey,
Yeah.
I just
And again, like,
I would like to share with you.
Right. And my response was like that because I know I wouldn't just not do anything. Like,
Yeah.
I would, like, I mean, we have so many business women in my family,
Yeah.
and I would definitely somehow expand the business in a sense, like in within my family.
I mean, again,
Proverbs 31?
in turn,
Yeah.
going back to Proverbs
Yeah,
31, because the
right,
Proverbs
right.
31 woman is an entrepreneur on top of so many other things.
Which I think, and I thank also God, because I feel like when He puts the Spirit in us, like the Spirit automatically changes us to be that high value man and woman.
Yeah, because it's like when I like that. You know, you talking about a high value. Again, the world looks at high value, and when you think about things that are high value, you know, I deal with that with my art. You know, what does the Bible say about your worth, who you are, when you even think about any aspect of your life?
So
Okay.
we would talk about a high value woman. Now we can talk about high value man.
Okay.
And of course, you guys will have a different concept of that than we do.
Yeah.
To me, a high value man, and you guys use Proverbs 31. To me, a high value man is someone like King David. You know, he was confident to fight what was trying to attack the whole town. You know, he stood up and he spoke the word of God over that thing.
So only him in that part, right?
He
Talk
made-
about the part he
Because
feels.
I don't
he-
want no man that's gonna go. sleep with him.
Well, he made a mistake,
kill-
but he also repented from it.
Yeah, because that was a follow up.
Fine.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
God said, this is a man
We'll
after
forgive
my own
him.
heart.
Yeah.
God said this was a man after his own heart.
Qué lindo. Y el corazón de ella también. Oh, pero. O sea.
No, I feel you. I mean, I
Yeah.
feel what
I get
you're
it,
saying
I get it,
because
I get it.
yeah, I mean, I was gonna have a follow up question, but you
it's
followed
really
up.
important that you say that because I would want a high value woman, but women need to know that high value men are gonna get approached by a lot of females. So I mean, if you're in God, you're not supposed to be looking at other females, but that is the risk that you take by dating a high value man.
It's true.
Yeah.
So make sure he's a Christian.
And on
Make
that
sure
on that note,
Make
you
sure
know,
he's
I don't.
completely surrendered to God and follows God in all his decisions.
I feel led. I feel led to say this. Maybe it's one of us, or maybe it's somebody that's watching. But on that same note, I do feel, maybe not in dating and in engagement, but in marriage, this is just me. The responsibility of like, maybe not the word responsibility. I will be asking my wife to take over DMs, things like that. You know what I'm saying? Because I will be honest, I consider myself a high value man. Yes, women are in my DMs all the time. And it's like, that is just an area that I'll be honest, I don't want to touch ever again. Like, I want wifey to just, that's her. Like, whether she blocks women for me or okay, do you really want a painting? Do you really want a project with my husband? You know, are you in charge? Are you an organization? Like, what's happening here? Because,
Trying to get with him.
you know what I'm saying? Are you just trying to get with my man? And of course, she's not going to
Yeah.
answer that way, but it's like,
No.
I don't know who this is for. I just feel led to say this, that yes, a high value man attracts high value women. They're going to come, and a lot of times many of these women are not high value, but you just attract a lot of women, and a high value woman attracts a lot of men, because you're high value, meaning you're high value. What happens with things that are of high value? You know, if you want to think about it in a worldly sense, high value things that are, you know, when you're at the mall and you're looking at things that are in the window. The things that are in the window are usually things that are the most expensive.
Yeah.
The things that are the highest, when you're at Best Buy and you're looking at TVs and you're like, wow, look at that 75-inch TV. It's like high, you know what I'm saying? So it's things that are placed and presented to you in a way that like everybody's going to see it. So whether you have an Instagram that has 40,000 followers, you have 500,000 followers on TikTok, best believe your DMs are going to be flooded with all kind of value, you know, of women, people, or whatever. But again, I just feel like on that case, I wanted to make sure I put it out there that I believe it's wise for, if you're a man, for wifey to play a role in the management of direct messages.
And that's
I don't know who that's for, but
that's a very interesting
that.
topic, because about the whole like, these people in your DMs.
Yeah.
You know, because there was a man that was saying like, oh, all women have like 61 men in her DMs, and I'm like, what kind of woman are you?
I was
looking
like,
at?
where? Really?
Yeah. Like no,
60
because the
60
kind
low
of
value men, maybe.
yeah.
and the kind of person that you present yourself to be, you're going to command that respect from men as a woman. You know, if you are presenting yourself like, I am available for everybody, here's all my flesh, you know, and like displaying yourself to the world, then they're like, okay, like any guy is gonna come and like be all up in and trying to, you know, message you or whatever. But yeah, that's an interesting topic that men might have that concept of women that were like that, and it's like, no, we don't.
I think when it comes to high value men, I think the best example is Jesus. Jesus at the Bible. And it's weird because Jesus didn't have, well, that's the thing, because if you don't have that spark of divinity, whatever you feel for that person is going to burn out. I don't know how else to say it. It's like really rare to find a couple that lasts for like 50 years. And even within those relationships, it's because they forgave each other's infidelities. But like, and it's weird because Jesus never had a relationship. But the thing like about Jesus is the traits that he had. And I feel like a lot of us men don't look to Jesus because the way that Jesus projected it. He's all about love and hugging people and kissing people. That's not completely all Jesus. Jesus is ruthless in his ruling. When Jesus come back, he's coming to judge. And he's not going to say, oh, I love you, come into heaven. No, if you ain't going to heaven, you're going to go straight to hell, and from hell to the lake of fire, depending on your philosophy, how you believe that. But you're not going to be with God. And when Jesus was in the temple, he would flip over tables. And Jesus will call hypocrites in their face. You guys are snakes. You guys are like coffins.
And, you know, because he spoke in parables, a lot of what he was saying, I felt some of his answers, sometimes when I read the Bible, I'm like, wow, look at him being funny. Like it's almost like...
He's joking.
Like, he kind of like flips it back at them.
Exactly.
You know?
So, and that's like
he was truthful.
If you
he
try
was
to
very
be
truthful.
like that, Jesus, then you're gonna attract that high value woman. And Jesus even gives us the best example, like what to find in a woman, and like because he gives like the parable of the 10 virgins.
Yeah.
Oh,
and it's not their virginity, like, it's their virginity physically, but it's not their virginity that makes them wise or that makes them foolish. It's that spark of divinity, the oil they have. Like, and you can see that, like, I know women might not accept this, but like women are in constant competition for high value men. And you can see that within the women, the wise women tell the foolish women, I'm not going to give you none of my oil. You got to get your own oil. You know, and that's the wise woman. The wise woman is that person is constantly filling themselves up with that spark of divinity, with that oil. So I think the high value woman is that woman that values that spark of divinity. And when the man imitates everything about Jesus and the spirit and the fruits, that goes together, and that makes the perfect relationship.
Yeah, because I was going to say, in that case, you know, it's like, then if you
like to put tomatoes.
If you really are searching out God, right, and searching out God's heart, then that's the woman you're searching for. Like, that should be the woman you're searching for. And here's the bleak situation, is that those women don't, I'm not going to say don't exist, that those women are far and few between, and that's why the Bible talks about them being worth, more than rubies. Because like at the end of the day, and I'm just gonna call a spade in my life. That's why I'm still single.
Me too.
That's why I'm 38, still single. I've made my mistakes, yes, but at the end of the day, I know the type of woman that I'm looking for, and that woman is a woman that like. She's so hidden in God that the only way I'm going to find her is by me seeking God's heart. And she's in the middle of that like a needle in a haystack. Those, I'm not going to say they don't exist, but I'm telling you, the percentage is low.
Really low.
I'm talking really 1-2%, bro.
Where are you looking?
Like,
no,
that's but here's the thing.
You can't find them in church.
Thank you.
You can't find them in church.
I know, see, I know where you were going with that. They're not in church.
The same thing about men.
They're not in church.
That's so true.
That's
like,
okay.
You can't.
They're not. I'm gonna be real. They're not in church.
They're not in
They're not.
And the thing is that we confuse.
This gets deep.
Okay, but we
deep.
can say the same thing about men.
No, you're absolutely right. That's the situation. Why do you think we have 30, 40, 50-year-olds?
Let me add something to that.
Yeah.
That we both have been treated much better by men in the world than men in the church.
I have
And
that.
same here.
I have that experience.
Okay, I'm gonna
Women
say
in the
something
world-
real
What
quick.
woman are you
Women
with?
in the world are
Yeah.
more authentic than the ones at church, because the church is
I-
like they've been pre-programmed in a way.
I have been.
The church is kind of messing up relationships.
Yes, I
Because
have
even
been
when you
treated
ask
better.
the friend question, like that's something that we didn't become friends at church. So when I started going to church, as like okay, now I'm a Christian, like that's when I realized, oh wait, what do you? So I can't have guy friends, and
Yeah,
then like
exactly.
everything got like really weird, and then all of a
Yeah,
sudden,
And
it
you
makes
got a guy
everything
friend.
weird.
Uh-oh, something's going
Which
on.
right, and then I was like, but
Yeah.
nothing's
I
going.
think
Like,
that you
what?
should just follow God and not follow all this different advice that you hear from all these different
Yeah.
people. Like, be spirit led, like what you were saying.
I want to clear something else, because I don't want people to think that like by when we talk about purity that it means like you haven't committed any mistakes in the
Right,
past.
right.
Because when you look at Jesus' great grandmother Rahab, right?
Mm-hmm.
She used to have a home of
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
She was a lady of the
Yeah, a
night.
lady of
Yeah.
the
Lady
night.
of the
That's
night.
what she's.
exactly, and great things come out of that, you know.
Yeah.
So and
Great things come out of that.
yeah, well, if you give
Well-
yourself to God, then that purity comes in.
yeah, and it changes you.
Yeah, it changes you.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
that's what I
Good.
meant. Yeah.
Yeah, because without you there, I mean, I knew what you were saying. I knew where you were going with that. I just wanted to make sure that you
Good saying.
continued
But
to
That's like
clear
an
it up.
alley-oop.
Yeah, well, the parable that Jesus, I think this parable
funny.
is so perfect. The parable about Jesus is you have to wait for the perfect person. If you don't wait, you lose your value. You have to go back and get some oil, and you're gonna miss your turn. You have to wait.
I can see that. I can see that because again, you know, I because of some of the mistakes I've made in the past, yes, my high value was knocked at the knees, and then I had to kind of. There's forgiveness and there's grace and there's mercy.
course,
There's
of
all those
course.
things, but in life, like. It's just like if you go, you know, if you file for bankruptcy or whatever, like there's consequences to mistakes. There's forgiveness, there's grace, mercy, all that. But in the real world, if you kill somebody, you go into jail. You know, there's things that happen when you do particular things. And I'm not taking it to that level as in any of us did that, but it's like I get what you're saying, because it's like we are human. We make mistakes. We're not on that course, and then maybe we were very close to finding our wife, but we dated somebody for 3 years that we should have never been with. And it's like, okay, well, that sucks, because I could have been with my wife for those 3 years and another 3 years, and we could have had like 2 kids already or whatever. But I chose my path and went with a woman that was that I selfishly chose, like because she fit the criteria of EJ's list, not God's list, because she wore white nail polish, or she had, you know,
Let's talk about
black
this.
hair,
Do
or
guys have lists?
yeah. I mean, I think humans in general have lists, but I will speak for men. Yeah, men have lists.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's probably nothing. It probably won't
Okay.
be nothing what women think either.
Yeah,
We
I
have
mean, it's
different preferences. That's why I kind of want to make clear that like your mistakes in the past, once you're in Christ, doesn't define you.
No.
Like
Yes.
let's say
Yeah.
you were a person that was really friendly. That's not going to define you once you're in Christ.
Yeah.
But once you're in Christ, your level of purity, when I mean purity with Christ, is your level of commitment to Christ. Like, how do you pray? Do you feel the Spirit when you pray? Do you speak tongues? Because that's very important. Because that's what's gonna attract me to. For me and my partner,
Yeah.
the only thing I look for in my partner is her level of commitment to Christ. Because when we're fighting, I need to know when she kicks me out the house, I need to know that she's gonna be in that room praying and not talking to another guy.
true.
Right.
That's what I need to know. That's
Facts.
the only thing I look for in a
Facts.
woman.
That's
And if that
good.
woman has that, she has it all.
Yeah.
That's so good.
That's
No, that's
good.
All
facts.
right, ladies, strong prayer life. Come on. That's
I
good.
want to talk. I want to make sure that we have time to talk about courtship and
Okay.
everything
That's
that
true.
you're saying
Yes.
about the covenant
Yeah.
the oath.
Yeah.
How do you want to say it?
Like a contract. Yeah.
Contract.
Yeah.
A contract. That's serious.
So, you know,
Okay.
I gotta take notes on this.
Right. I was like, hold on. Why?
Ooh.
Why?
so I have a good friend, just out of respect for him, because I didn't ask that I could talk to him about him, not in a bad way, but just out of respect, I have a friend, and he, we were talking, and I was sharing with him all my woes of dating, and he shared with me that he made a contract with God. He did a 1 year no date contract, and it wasn't that he gave me his clauses or his stipulations on his contract. He was like, hey, if you're choosing to do this, it's between you and God. When you pray and you ask God what are the stipulations, he will give them to you, and then you sign it. If you want a co-signer, cool, or witness, boom, you have a date on there. And so I went back and forth with it. I really, it wasn't recent. It's been a while. But the last relationship that I was in was, it broke me in half. And I was like, man, like something has to change. It has to 100% change. I got to go about this completely different because I am leaning on my own understanding. Even when I read the Bible, even when I read Proverbs 31, even when I read we should love our wife like Christ loved the church. Yes, those are all scriptures, and there's even practicality to all these scriptures, but there comes to a point where it's like, okay, I have to be real with myself. Like, everybody is different. Everybody reads and interprets the Bible is different. If God is our father, then I am not a parent yet. I would love to be. But let's say you have 2 or 3 kids. My strong assumption, and this is based off of my mom. My mom talked to my sister way differently than she talked to me because we're 2 different people with 2 different personalities. So, like, God talks to all of us differently. So I'm like, okay, like, I just need to spend some time trying to understand what God is trying to tell EJ Nieves, his son, And so for me, the contract was the way to go. I prayed. He gave me 7. I can pull it up.
Yeah.
I'm glad that I have 6 stipulations to my contract. And so I'll just share. So in the beginning, it's 1 year, no day contract with God. It was created to help me concentrate on my relationship with Jesus and to help me love and respect myself to such a degree that I'll be ready to find a spouse that honors, loves, stewards, and cherishes me the same way I will do for her. And so here are the contract details. I will not date for a year. I will work hard on my spiritual, mental, financial, and physical health. Because as I prayed, God was revealing to me that this goes back to, this is why this is so good. A high value man, a high value woman. If I consider myself a high value man, it's not that I'm going to be perfect, but I am going to be actively working on my spiritual, mental, financial, and physical health. And of course, that's, spiritual with God. If you need counseling, then you're going to counseling for your mental, financial. If you need a financial advisor, if you need to surround yourself with people that are smarter about money than you, which I have friends that are smarter about money than me, and then physical health, being in the gym, being fit, eating better. So that's number 2. Number 3, I will seek God's guidance and wisdom on courtship through Christ's standards and not the world's. And that's why I know for a fact that Elizabeth inviting me on this podcast was God's answer to number 3. Because now we're literally talking about courtship. We're talking about all of these branches to the tree, which is Christian singlehood. And so I know that number 3 was answered by God by this podcast. So thank you guys.
Amen.
Number 4, I will love myself. Number 5, I will respect myself. Number 6, I will honor and steward my singleness for God's glory. Number 6 was also another thing that when I was invited on your show, I was like, there are times that like I look at singleness as loneliness. And being on this show right now and having this is really awesome conversation is showing me that like this is how you steward it. Whether it's on a podcast, whether it is through, biblical single community, which I want to kind of get into that a little bit too, because I feel like a lot of churches do not steward their singles correctly, as a whole.
Yeah.
No, I'm not pointing out one church. I just think that the Western church doesn't do a good job of that. That's number 6. And then I ended with a prayer. God, I place this contract at your feet. I pray that you make me the man, and if you're a woman, you make me the man you want me to be. Be with my future wife, whoever she is, wherever she is, whatever she might be doing in this season of her life. Hold her close, protect her, walk beside her, light her path. May our roads converge when it's your time, not ours. I love you, Jesus. And so that in a whole is the contract. And, just to I kind of went over some of them, but really the biggest two that I'm working with right now, and I have to be very careful because I get really emotional when I'm talking about this, is that number 4 and 5, I will love myself and I will respect myself. I know part of the reason why I'm 38 and still single is because I did not love myself and respect myself enough to be like with the right kind of woman, to look at myself, to love myself and say, I am a high value man, but why am I a high value man? Or if I ever doubted why I was not, then to go to the Bible, or if I ever thought of myself as less than a high value man, to go to God as opposed to other things. And then the respect one is huge because I cannot tell you, and it sucks to say this, but I can't tell you how many narcissistic relationships I've been in. I myself have been a narcissist. I am not free from that. I am guilty of that. But I believe because I also was narcissistic and gaslighting and manipulative, I attracted that kind of woman. And what would be crazy about it is that, like, I would end up like resenting this woman because it was like she was like a mirror, and I'm like, wow, like I'm you and you are me, and I don't want to see you anymore. Like this, I want this to be over. But it was because I didn't respect myself enough, like to say, EJ, like you need to figure yourself out right first, and you need to understand why you're a narcissist, why do you gaslight, and why are you manipulative, and that's where I'm at now. And so this season of my life, there's a lot of tilling of the ground happening, and it hurts, and it's not pleasant, but it's good work. There's people that God has introduced me that have been the right kind of mirror, like the loving and compassionate mirror that's like, I'm gonna hold the mirror in front of you. If you scream or cry or you're hurting, I'm holding this mirror up because I love you. And God, of course, is that first and foremost the person holding up the mirror. But then God also sends people because we're human. There are many times that we desire human interaction. We desire to we just don't want to like have our thoughts be bounced off of a wall. We want our heart to be bounced off of another heart. Right. Yeah. And so like 4 and 5, the love and respecting myself have been the two toughest pieces of my contract, and I think that's the work that God is doing in me. Because number 2 is, it's not that it's easy, but it's like, it's kind of low hanging fruit. Okay. How do you work on your spiritual? Get back to church, get back to the Bible, mental, at this point now, there's several programs that if you can't really afford like a counselor, there's a lot of programs out there. Even a lot of churches have counselors for free. Financial, that is a toughie, but in regards to like saving money and really breaking down like, okay, well, I spend so much money on fast food, that's where all my money's going. Or man, I got a shoe problem. Like every time I get my paycheck, I'm buying a new pair of shoes. And then physical health is like, hey, it's what you eat, and are you going to the gym, or do you care about that part of your life? Because it's not really about, for me now, it's not about like I want to look good to be an Instagram model. It's like I'm almost 40. I have friends that are 40 and above. My friend group now is around, I would say 30s to 50. And I have friends that have, either they've been in the hospital for really not good things, heart attack, cardiac arrest, like really weird things, and it's because we're not 23 anymore, we're not 25 anymore. We can't, I used to eat like Little Caesars pizzas at 3:00 in the morning in college. I used to go to UCF. I would literally go to Little Caesars, get me a $5 hot and ready, and eat it at like 2:00 in the morning, wake up and like nothing. Like, okay, but now you do that now and it's like, boom, you gain so much weight, and now all this other issues. Okay. But there's a lot of things that are like they're not low hanging fruit, but it's like there's just things that are hitting a lot harder. So, and in the midst of it,
I gotta give you kudos, man, because for a man to be able to like even confess that, especially in a world like you have to be strong. Yeah. you won't even attract the opposite sex if you're not strong. So for you to come out and say that, because that's kind of like my biggest issue, self-love, you know? So for you to even say that, like, bro, it takes a lot of courage.
No, I appreciate that.
It meant a lot to hear that from you guys because, from both of you now, because I'm in the prayer team and I know, I'm not used to praying for guys like that, but this is the year that definitely God was like, all right, like you're grown and you're a leader, like get it together. So I definitely had to pray for, and he was with his daughter, so it wasn't like nothing bad, but when I prayed, it was like I was praying God's love for this person, and usually I don't tend to remember exactly what I say or anything, but I do remember feeling like, oh my God, this guy's gonna probably hates me now. Like I'm over here talking about God's love. That's not what men are usually, you know. Like I was like, what happened to you know, I don't know. There's so many other verses or anything that could have came to mind, and that the only thing that came to mind was just the love of God, and you know, of course, guys, because you know he was very strong and stuff. So like he just gave me like a. Cool. And he walked away with his daughter, and I'm like, was that good? I don't know what that means. But it was nice. It was nice hearing that. Yeah.
Like even guys, like they grew up even wanting to hear someone say, "I love you, I'm proud of you." And not having that.
Oh yeah.
Not having that creates these menace to societies that we have because they never had that support.
I fight that because like I'm again. I say my age because of like just a show.
I'm 36, bro.
No, I'm saying my age because of like the longevity of it.
This year.
Like,
You look
I still live with like wanting my dad to say I love you, I'm proud of you. He's never said that to me ever.
Wow.
And like that it really does hurt. You know, I mean, I've learned to cope with it. I hate to say it that way, you know, like I gotta cope with it.
How can you even have a relationship with God as a father when you don't even know what that is?
And that's another topic for a whole other. That's a whole other episode.
But
because that's a whole other episode.
When your dad won't even answer your text, it's like.
And like so, God, I do have issues with that sometimes. I'm like, God the Father, I'm like, if my physical father on earth wants nothing to do with me, it is hard at times to quantify that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so.
It's really good.
Yeah. That is. Yeah. Well, another thing that a man brought up in our conversation was how everything seemed to cater around the women.
Yes.
And like everything be beneficial for the women.
Yeah.
And the men were kind of minimized and like I think it was you that said about Beauty and the Beast. You were saying how like, you know, the whole like Beauty and the Beast concepts, but like sometimes that they want the protective man, they want the strong protective man, but also everything that goes with that, like that man is gonna be more dynamic, more aggressive, maybe not in a bad way, but they are going to be like that more fierce kind of personality. And then sometimes society projects almost like if they want the man to be sensitive and soft. So, and they're like, that doesn't really
Which is
match
confusing
up.
for us, okay?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And then on top of that, like how the women want this and this and this and that, but then it's like, well, what are you bringing to the table? Like, I'm paying for all these dates. I'm paying for you to have all these different things, but like pretty much what are you bringing to the table? Like you also have to be that high value woman. So how do you guys feel that society like kind of pairs that up? Like do you guys feel like society is trying to remove that masculinity from you?
It has.
Yeah.
For us, kind of, but because we're probably more like as millennials.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the last tier of a millennial, but I'm a millennial.
So we kind of don't suffer what the new era is kind of going through. So
what do you feel the new era is going through?
They're completely feminized. Men are completely feminized. And you could go to like public. You can't really tell in church because in church is a taboo. But once you go out in public, like, man, I'll go to the gym, and I'm like, why are all these guys around me? Yeah? But it's because society made them like that, kind of.
I think, you know, for me, I had this conversation with a friend last week, and this really has been happening for quite a while. And for me, I think the breakdown is like just the man being less, and I'm talking about like cartoons right now. So like when you think about like The Simpsons, you think about some of these shows, the woman is always looked as the smart one, the one that's like leading the captain of the ship,
That's
and
true.
the husband is like a blundering idiot. You know,
Yeah.
Bob's
That's so
Burgers,
true.
The Simpsons, oh my God, American Dad. And yeah, a lot of these shows
Married
are
with Children.
Married with. I brought up Married with Children too. Yeah, and what's interesting is that in the '90s, it started around the '90s because some of those shows kind of started popping up in the '90s, but then you still had shows like Family Matters, with Steve Urkel. You still had Step by Step that it was two blended families, kind of like the Brady Bunch. You had two blended families. It was very beautiful. So you could tell in the media there was a warfare. There was warfare going on with. I don't quote me on this, but I do believe that maybe some of these producers were, they were Christian and they were like, no, we want to portray family values, like the mom and dad are one isn't smarter than the other. They are a team, and they build each other up in the aspects of how their family unit builds each other up. They're helping their children grow up and become successful adults. And it's not about the kids being bad, and the mom being smarter and the father being a blundering idiot. But then it was like these adult cartoons started kind of coming in when things like Full House and, like Saved by the Bell, a lot of shows that were more like wholesome. Then you had this almost like opposition of like, you know what? We're done with all this wholesome family stuff on TV. We're going to come out with some cartoons that are going to rock your world in a negative way. And then you just started having that. So for me, I feel like the decline started with shows. I mean, and I know this is countercultural. So many people love The Simpsons, and I like The Simpsons, but it's like sometimes I watch it and I do feel like the Holy Spirit, the sermon saying like, this is wrong.
I understand what you're saying, because even and I'm just gonna bring another cartoon. Teen Titans. Do you remember? Do you remember seeing that? How it used to be, it used to be very. Before it was like, okay, there's a villain, and they would go and they would fight, and they had powers. Have you tried watching it nowadays?
No.
There is no real mission, no real like. Everything is very. I wish I had the right word.
No, I feel you.
To what I'm saying, but it's
Like
almost
everything
like
is everything.
Anything else that you guys wanna share? Or?
No, I just would just say to the young people that are listening to strive to be like the biblical men. That if you strive, especially Jesus, the real Jesus, the one in the Bible, if you just try to strive to be like them and imitate them, and you can see if you put them all together, you can see there's certain qualities they're all gonna have, like, and they're strong and they're kind, and they're full of love, but they're also ruthless, and and they take control and they're competent. And if you try to strive to be like that, and you have that spark of divinity where Jesus is your number one, you will not fail to find a high value woman. And it's gonna be hard, and you're gonna have to be patient, but that's what you need to create a family, to have children that are gonna be like grateful for God and everything else. So and I would say to women to strive to just to have that spark of divinity, that relationship with Jesus. That's gonna get you over everything. Even because you're gonna have bumps in life, especially women, because women are more social creatures. So like they tend to hurt more than guys. Us guys, we'll hurt once. Like he said, I went through his experience like once. Like my heart got broken only once. After that, my heart will never ever.
What do you mean, one time?
One time. That's it. That's all it takes for a guy. Once you break that guy's heart, he will look at every woman the same, or he will not go into that same place.
Yeah. I can agree with that.
Yeah, so guys could get over pain quicker, but women, they have to be more careful than us guys. And because guys can be deceitful also, and really bad guys seem to have traits that good guys have. So just be really careful and meditate in the Lord. A relationship with the Lord will help you clear out everything.
I like that. That's true. Very true.
Yeah, I think for me, there's so much. There's a lot of takeaways, to be able to quantify this whole episode. But, the spark of divinity, when you say that, I think about everything that we've talked about. For me, after this podcast, and I'm so glad that I was invited, so thank you guys so much for this. Because, there's a lot of things that I've been praying about and just talking to God about during this time for me being in this contract. And I'm only 2 months in of February 1st. So, I have a long way to go. But there's a refinement process happening within me that it's hard. and it hurts. There's a lot of things that are being revealed to me. It's for the better. And shows like this are great because a show like this is like a mirror. And I think as many biblical mirrors, or just like mirrors that I like that, like mirrors that are sparked with divinity. I like that. I'm gonna do a piece or something with that, because that phrase is just so, it's really reverberating in my heart.
It doesn't come from me, so.
No, yeah, like sparked with divinity, like that's a whole show. That's a whole series of
Sparked with
something.
divinity.
Yeah, that's this whole thing. That's a summit.
Like a fragrance.
Yeah, something.
Yeah.
But I feel like everything that we do should be sparked, with divinity, and you think about fire, it starts with a spark,
Yeah.
to create a flame, and so I'm my last words on the show, not in life, but
Yes. And
my
you'll be
last
back.
my last words on the show, God, Lord,
For this episode.
for this episode,
Yes.
is that I want to share that again. Make sure that everything that you're doing in your life is sparked with divinity. The people that you're around are sparked with divinity. The situations that you're putting yourself in are sparked with divinity. If you are a single man or a single woman desiring to be with a man or a woman that is, I guess, high value and sparked with divinity, the only way that you're truly going to attract that and sustain it is if you have it as well. It happens where you're sparked with divinity, and the enemy, or not even I'm not going to give the enemy credit. You can be attracted to somebody that doesn't have the spark. But at the end of the day, the sustainability of that isn't going to last. And so that's my biggest takeaway, because I take that with everything that we've talked about. And for me, like, I quantify this whole episode. It's like, like you guys said, you can hear podcasts all over the place, even Christian podcasts. You can hear worldly podcasts about how women feel about men and how men feel about women, and how single people feel about married and whatever. Yeah, everybody's blaming each other, pointing fingers, but
yeah, just like Adam and Eve.
Yeah, but it's like, if we're sparked with divinity, let that be the filter, which of course is Jesus. So.
I like how you redefined high quality men and women. I think that was definitely redefined, and that's something I needed, because when you first mentioned it, I was just like, what? Stop.
Because the world brings such a negative sense to it, and it's exactly what you said. It's selfishness. Selfishness. Like, if you can't do nothing for me, then.
Right.
That's not the
yes,
way
and that's not what it means.
Oh, and I guess it wasn't my last word. Sorry. And the red flag, how this conversation really has helped me kind of. I'm gonna stop saying red flag as much as I can, and really be like, what does the Holy Spirit, like, what's the discernment say about it?
Yeah,
But,
and that's what I would say, because we are called to be separate from the world. We are a royal priesthood. So we need to look different from the world, and it's not like a necessity, like oh, okay, I'm gonna look different than the world. No, it's just like we follow a whole different voice in everything that we do. We follow the Spirit of God in every decision that we make, and when you do that, you automatically look different. It's not like you're trying to be. You automatically look different. So that's something that we're called to do. That's something that we should do, and we should be bold about it, not quiet about it. I know that EJ here, with his contract, he has been bold about it, and he has been sharing about it. It's not a secret. He has a following. I don't know how many follow you, but he has been sharing about it very openly on his social media, and that's why I was like, okay, this would be a good person to have on our show and speak about that, because it looks so different. It's counterculture completely. So. And even Steffi, like, she's like, I've heard about people doing that before, and it doesn't work.
Listen,
trust me. The enemy's sending agents. Okay, the enemy's sending agents trying to shut down the contract.
No.
Yeah,
don't. I did it for 4 years, so
I have seen the opposite. I have seen the opposite. I come from the church I used to go to. We had multiple people do things like that.
Yeah.
And also. They just follow the voice of God.
Yeah.
And so there's multiple people that really follow the voice of God, and that led them to their husband or wife. And so that's what next week's episode is going to be about.
Yes.
It's going to be about those who prayed for their spouse and followed that route and separated themselves for that purpose and, you know, didn't follow that cookie cutter mold or anything that society was saying. And now they're happily married. You know, not saying that marriage is not going to have any issues or it's still work, but it's going to be so awesome to interview them and get their stories. So if you guys have any questions or if you guys have any questions for them, we want to hear them. So let us know all your questions for that. It's going to be about praying for your future spouse and getting that confirmation and following it.
Yeah.
All right. So
thank you guys. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you so much.
See you guys.
Yes.
If you have questions
Another
for me.
episode of Crumble Talk. This is our Crumble Talk shake.
Oh.
You did it wrong.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. Okay, wait. Let's do it again.
Are we doing it?
Okay. That was good. Okay. Crumble. All right.